Welcome back. Well, today I have Becky and Joe who are here on behalf of O'Connor Mortuary. Well, thank you both for joining me. Trying times, and it has been for, 9 months now. And I'm sorry we haven't had you on earlier, but I guess now is more appropriate than ever. So thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
So in regards to what we're dealing with right now, how has that changed the face of your business? And either person can, we're having a conversation, so anybody can jump in.
Sure. Well, it's really an extraordinary time that we're experiencing right now. And it's really made us think about how we're operating. We're a purpose-driven company where we have a purpose of healing hearts, inspiring trust, and comforting souls. And that's really the foundation for how we operate, regardless of what time it is and however busy we are. So that's really the foundation for us. And it is extraordinary, but we have extraordinary people and who are doing really extraordinary things for families.
Yeah, Becky, how about you? Each of you operate in different capacities. What are you experiencing?
Well, as you said, we've been at this for 9-10 months now in this pandemic, and the grief that people are experiencing is so complicated due to the pandemic. So many times we're seeing families that they're not able to do exactly what they had originally planned on doing, as far as, marking the death, creating ceremony for their loved one who has died. And I think what I know our team really does a wonderful job is coming alongside these families. Very first thing, saying, take a breath. We're going to get through this together. We're going to help you. And we're going to talk with you about the things that we still can do. And I think that's so important for all of us, regardless of our walk in life during these times, is to remember that resilience that we have, and focusing on, let's talk about what we can do. There are a lot of things that are out of our control, and let's focus on what we can control, what we can do. So really, really helping those grieving families with a little bit of peace, knowing that, okay, we can still do this with the help of the O'Connor team.
And that's something that you want to probably do in everyday life, right? You want to not worry about what you can't control. And obviously, so much has been out of our control for so long now that people are just, going stir crazy for most part. And then, of course, like you mentioned, you've got people who, one, are losing loved ones and they can't even see them, which has got to be just horrendous.
Yes, it is very heartbreaking for families who can't be in maybe a skilled nursing or an assisted living or at the hospital when their person dies. And so we have, throughout this pandemic, throughout these unusual times, really been that place for the family to come and spend time with their loved one. They couldn't be there when the person actually died, but we do have a very beautiful space that families can come in and spend time with their person. So that's one of those things that, you couldn't do that, but let's talk about what we can do. And
Right.
So it never replaces that moment, yet it does give so many people comfort to know that at least they have that ability to spend time.
Yeah, it really ends up being a place of comfort for the families. Even if it's a brief moment that they get to spend with their loved one, or however long it is, we do accommodate that, because we do know how important it is for their grief journey to be able to say goodbye. They may not have been able to do that at the hospital or the nursing facility, but they can certainly do it. We make accommodations to make that happen.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that you've had to make to be able to accommodate these folks who are dealing with these types of folks passing away. Becky, what are some things that you've had to change?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm so proud of with O'Connor is very early on, we adapted a very stringent cleaning and safety protocol wearing masks, limiting the number of people who are in our building, separate entrance and exits, and really, so we have been fortunate to have a very healthy staff through all of this, yet also bringing that peace of mind to families. We can't have the numbers of people that we had in the past. We have had to adjust that for the safety of the individuals coming into the mortuary and the safety of our team. Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing with the hospitals being as impacted as they are and the number of COVID deaths that we're experiencing here in Orange County, we have seen an increase in the demand for our services and the need for our services within our profession. And so we are doing everything in our ability to serve every family as they come into our care. And we have put extra measures in place so that we're able to continue to transfer people into our care and meet with our families. That is something that we could meet with a family within 24 hours. And right now we're asking families that it may be a few days before we can do our virtual or our phone appointment with you. And people have been very, very understanding of that. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, I was going to say, you spoke into it a little bit about the virtual appointments. So right now, I think probably about 70% of the families we're serving currently are opting to do virtual appointments, either just by phone or through Zoom or GoToMeeting. So that's one change that we've made. And really over this last 9 or 10 months, we've seen the restrictions go from allowing 10 people in our chapel for service to about 30 when the restrictions were lifted. And now back, I think it was maybe October, November, when the restrictions rolled back to the original. So now we're back to, accommodating families, about 10 in our for services. And then we're also go by the guidelines of whatever the church guidelines are. And that varies depending on the specific church. And fortunately, we have great relationships with the churches in the area here, and we know exactly what can and can't be done. The other factor too is the availability of the cemetery. And so every cemetery has a little bit different restrictions. So, we're navigating it and we're being flexible, and that's what we talk to our team about every day, is just being flexible and resilient. So
Joe, take a little bit more of a high level overview of what you've had to take into consideration in running this type of business with COVID-19.
Well, first, I would say that our biggest concern was the safety, not only the families, but we had to make sure that our team was safe, and that we put the restrictions in place for sanitation and guidelines, really not only for the family's protection, but for our team. Because if we don't have a healthy team to carry out our purpose, then we're not going to be doing a good job for the family. So I think on the high level, that's the first thing that we've done. The second thing is really being in tune with what the restrictions are almost on a daily basis. That first 45 days, really, I think about the first 3 weeks, it seemed like we were changing our protocols almost daily.
Right.
And I think everyone was trying to figure it out. So we finally got to a point where we got settled in, and we were dialed in for about 30 days. And then with the stringent restrictions, the stay-at-home order, and then as things change, we change. And that's just staying on top of what's happening. So
exactly. Now, Becky, one thing that you wanted to make sure we told our residents about is that even though you have a higher demand that you normally would have, you're still available. I mean, you're still here for everybody.
Absolutely. We still continue to serve the community at the highest level of care that we always have. There have, I think with news reports coming out over the past couple of weeks, primarily from the Los Angeles area, that, funeral homes and mortuaries were closing and not accepting, people into their care. It created a bit of a panic, and we did receive many phone calls, people concerned that we would, especially if they had a loved one who was on hospice or near death, there was a concern that what are we going to do? And so we've let the community know that we are still open. There is somebody available on call 24/7, just like we have done always with O'Connor Mortuary, and we will continue to serve the community. Joe Fitzgerald and his partners and his family have led this company to ensure that we're set up for success and have put protocols and into place so that we are able to continue to serve the community.
Oh, that's great to hear. And Joe, how about you?
Well, I would say that, although my last name is Fitzgerald, I'm married to one of the O'Connors, and my father-in-law started this business back in 1976, and he did it as he came into this community with a servant's heart. And, we're here to serve the community. It's not only just the families that we will always continue to serve, but to serve the community. And this is an essential service that we're providing to the community. And, we will maintain, our objective and purpose to help every family we can. We will do everything within our power to, not try to turn people away. That's not our objective. We want to help people through this really unprecedented time.
One last thing I was curious about is that when you have someone that comes to you with a loved one that has passed away from COVID-19, well, I understand the restrictions are more in place. Does it change the way you actually care for the body?
I'll speak into that, Becky. No, because our staff is trained to take universal precautions with every person that we're serving. So while it's more heightened because of this time, our team here of professionals are trained to care for each person with the highest level of dignity and respect, and within the protocols that they've been trained to. Great.
I mean, I guess coming from your perspective is totally different than what our perspectives would be, because we're sort of the ones looking inside to try and see what is happening. And you hear an awful lot of things about they're caring for bodies in the street to be able to be transferred, and the news scares us to death and never really personifies the individual that we're talking about here. And that sounds like that's where you guys definitely can come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. Very nice to see you guys, and you hang in there.
Okay. Thank you for having us.
You.
We appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome. And we'll be right back after this.